All right, welcome back. I'm your host, Mr. Coach Renew, Coach Mr. Renew, whatever you prefer. Now, we are here in course 3, baby, course 3. And this is one of the most important courses just for the simple fact of what it does for you. Now, this course here is super predicated upon you taking action. But remember, we're still not at the point of taking physical action first. There's no need to jump out here, work out, get your body all exhausted when you don't even have the right mind. Again, we're trying to tailor our minds to where we can be focused for the long-term goal. Long term. Until you expire. That's the long term. We don't know when that's going to happen, man. Not at all. But we do know that we hope that it's a long time. And if you don't wish for it to be a long time, go back and see chapter 1 or course 1. I'm sorry. You got to get your mindset on the long term. So go get yourself some new awareness about yourself. And then course 2 helps us take that awareness and start to recognize the different motivational factors that we need based upon who we are and how we feel at that moment. That allows us to create the best strategy for ourselves and then give ourselves the most opportunity to step into course 3. Course 3 here is called Happiness and Self-Discovery. One of my favorites. Very simple. The discovery of self comes in the form of exploration. And you must explore the things that makes yourself happy. Not makes you happy. No, forget about you. What makes yourself happy? That's an important difference because the difference between you and yourself is that you carry yourself. You carry self. You carry different versions of who you are, who you identify as, who you claim to be, who you value as that self. You are the one who carries these different compounds. So because you are not the 6-year-old self as you are when you're the 16-year-old self, although you might have common interests, you are the common denominator. It's not your brother. It's not your mom. It's not your sister. It's not your friend. It's you. So because of that, we have to appreciate these different versions of ourselves. Just like in course 2, we got to strategize whether we're looking at this from an internal, intrinsic point of view or an external, extrinsic point of view. They're both okay, but we just need to put them in the right spot. We can't have this student here in a classroom with those students there if they have drastically different ages. 14-year-olds aren't in the same classroom as 8-year-olds, unless they sent there and got in trouble kind of thing. Same thing, the 2nd grader got sent over to the 8th grade classroom. Difference in age, but there's a reason. We're looking to find out that reason. We're looking to understand that reason as separate from the other reasons we can find for other individual parts of our own. Our own self, our own desires of self, our own desires to change for that self, our own ideal selves, our own expectations of self, our own concepts of self, all of it. So in this chapter, or in this course, we are looking at discovering the things that make all different versions of ourselves happy, whether it's right now or right later. They're still available. Then we can pull from those energies. We can pull from that information, and then we can use it at any point in time, because time in the mind is an illusion, but your physical body knows time quite well. Twofold. So, if it's twofold, then we must understand that there are certain aspects of us that has died in our mind, but our body still wants to enact. guess what? No time up here means no time down here. Do we want that? Maybe. The point of this chapter is to discover what you want for the selves that you hold and carry. And as always, we have our disclaimer. We're looking to provide you with some tools, resources, and some valuable insights, but not to be done as a standalone. You have to use additional tools. You should never just use one tool, because guess what? Your body can't do that. So you can't do that. Even if you think you can, your body knows you can't. It needs more. You need parts of you to work, always. And sometimes you don't want those parts to work. You gotta roll with the flow, roll with the punches. So, go check out all of our additional tools to help you become the greatest you as you find yourself on this discovery journey. Now, this is straight from our book, ReSpark. Again, that was a book of affirmations made by kids, for people. I love that group of students so much. Man, I miss y'all a lot. But you guys are now grown in the real world. I'm proud of y'all. Look what y'all did to me and for me. Still helping me out, and I'm still hoping you're still utilizing the lessons we've learned together, we've earned together, and we've put out into this world for all others to use too. So thank you to my class that helped us create this book. With that being said, our first chapter is not the first chapter of the book, but it's the first chapter we're going to use for this book, which is called Chapter Happy. Chapter Happy says, what do you want to prove to yourself? Again, yourself is not you, and that's not self. That is a combination of you at a point in time. So what do you want to prove to yourself? Repeat after me. I want to prove to myself that I can, well, whatever you decide to do, our lesson of this first chapter says, do more of what makes yourself happy. Guess what? That means you have to decide. So, the way you decide is by embracing the journey of ups and downs. Embrace the fact that you're going to have changes. Embrace the fact that you're going to like shit and you're not going to like shit. Embrace the fact that some things are going to feel like some shit and other things aren't going to feel like some shit. Shitty. But then on the great side, you might can find some things that felt shitty in the past, but now feels really, really good in the future. Just because you have a different self that is exuding those behaviors. If you stopped drawing when you were 6, and then 10 years later, you picked it back up when you're 16, you might have a newfound discovery upon yourself. And that might make you happy. Just for the fact that you're drawing again, or just for the fact that you can see a difference, or just for the fact that you can see changes, or just for the fact that you know that you can in the future. That is the whole point of discovering the self. We're identifying the self as something separate from all other selves. Clones of you. Clones of your experiences. Really, they're just timestamps in space. That's all. Whether it's age is the easiest way to see it, but age is changing. So whether that's time, a time from when I was at an age, a little more specific, a little less specific. That's the whole point of the discovery. It's a pathway that you can gain. So, as you navigate in your path, you must commit to certain things. Again, how do I stay on my path? You embrace the adventure. So, again, we're going to invite you to set sail on the pathway of self-discovery, but make sure that everything that you're discovering, your one piece, is simply what makes you happy. Chapter 2. Chapter start. We got to cultivate a positive mindset with our newfound awareness from chapter 1. We got to cultivate a positive mindset with the motivational strategies that we have inside of us and outside of us. Then chapter 3 says we have to understand how to find happiness through self-discovery. So, stay positive. Your attitude is everything. Always stay positive. Your attitude is everything. So when you forget why you started, you got to understand that you started because you wanted to. It doesn't matter what that blank says. It doesn't matter what that blank is. That blank will always change because you're always changing. What needs to be understood is that you wanted that. And that's all. And even if you don't want it, that's cool. That's all. I wanted it now or I don't wanted it later. I wanted it now, then I don't wanted it later. As crazy as that sounds, but that's the truth. Sometimes you don't want things that when you get it, you might really, really want it. And then you get it and you really don't want it anymore. That is okay. Because this is a long-term game. So we got to understand that the things that we're gaining on this game, they will change. So stay positive. As you embrace your journey, make sure you do all the things to nurture all parts of yourself. Most of it comes from the affirmation of you can stay positive. You got the attitude too. So now let's take this into living in the moment, okay, and being mindful of the moment we're living. What that means for us is simple. We have to understand that the things that we're doing, the things that we're being, are not always the things that we want all the time. Sometimes you want to eat. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you can't eat. Sometimes you can. Sometimes you can eat, but you don't eat. Sometimes you want to eat, but you can't. There are always changes afoot. So we must keep ourselves aware of who we are in the present moment. We call this mindfulness. The way you do this is simple. Just like in chapter 1, or course 1, chapter 1, we have to understand soul inspiration is here to help us do one thing. And that is to be great. One thing for sure, one thing for certain, you decide how great you are and how bad you are. Everybody can be on the outside congratulating you, but if that congratulations doesn't fit with your internal values and goals and intrinsic motivations, nothing will satisfy you. But if you're just doing it just to do it, and that's what it is, it's recreational for you, it's for the joy, it's for the breathing, it's for this, it's for that, and then you get some accolades externally, that might help show you that you're great too. That is the whole point. We must change how we view ourselves. And the best way to do it is to keep one notion as an umbrella over all the changes. And that is to be great. So be great by remembering it's not how great you are, it's how great you want to be. If you want to have a greater happy doing this activity, remember that's the greatness in and of itself. If you want to be a greater baller, guess what? It's how great you want to be. If you want to be a greater baker, you guessed it, it's how great you want to be. And that shows you all that you need to do to be that great. So embrace the right now and be mindful of what you're doing so you can see how great you really are. Because at the end of the day, you got to find joy. So chapter 4 says, finding joy in your everyday life. Every single day you should find some joyous occasion, something to do to make you say, ooh, feeling pretty good right now. And it can be big, it can be small. But chapter verb helps us understand that no matter what you do, it's you taking action. You must take action. You got to do it. But here's the kicker. Obviously, you got to look at things twice over here. The clear model requires it. Can't just take one lap, you got to take two, and that gives you one full lap with the clear model, and all of it brings you new awareness. So no matter what you do, if you're thinking about doing things, that's action. If you feel like you're doing things, that's action. If your physical body is moving through spaces, that's also action. Lots of different ways to take action, but chapter verb says don't talk, just act on it. Don't promise yourself that I'm going to do it today. Just prove to yourself that it's done already. Just be great presently. Why? Because you already decided to be excellent. And excellence is a decision made. And because you were made from a decision, you were made from a decision. Some point of view in the past said, I'm going to be this point in the future. Whether you got here consciously or not. Whether that was intrinsic values or not. You must understand that those things got you to this point because of a decision. And because you made a choice, you made a decision, you're excellent. So no matter what you do on this journey called change, understand that you're great just because you're on that journey. So don't talk, just act. Don't promise, just prove. Just be great. Now, one of my favorite chapters here is called The Power of Self-Discovery. And the reason why this is important is because self-discovery comes with what we call tower moments. A change that you cannot control. A crisis in your midlife. An exchange from one stage of development into another. The big boss. The challenge of your life at that point in your life. For infants, that challenge is trusting and mistrusting. To mistrust something is the same thing as to trust something. You're just not trusting what you're told to. How did the baby learn that? How did the baby become aware of things that they should trust and not trust versus the things that they put their trust in and they should not have? They cannot. Nobody remembers these things. That's why they're embedded within our subconscious, which is why you must trust your conscious awareness to go back and help all parts of you that come out of that unconscious state, that subconscious state, that portion of you that you can no longer go back to physically. Nobody can be an infant once again. But if you start something new, you're in your infancy. So you have to start to realize how you trust people and how you don't. So whenever you're in a stagnant space, understand that the changes that you need will happen. They're inevitable. But you must realize that the changes and their causes are not up to you. Sometimes we're forcing the change. Most of the times we are, because if not, we'll stay put. We'll stay comfortable. That's the whole notion of chapter change. No matter what you tell yourself in your mind, no matter what your mind tries to get your body to believe, no matter what your heart tries to convince your mind of, all your thoughts are badasses. They're gangsters. Until the tomato starts walking. I don't care who you are, what you are. If I was chilling right now and this microphone just all of a sudden grew a mouth and started talking back to me, my whole life would change. That would be a crazy tower moment for me. I could have controlled the mic from doing what it was doing if my car just started driving off by itself. What is going on? Again, my thoughts that I previously just had, I'm the best, I'm the greatest, nothing can stop me. All of a sudden, my mind is not even focused on that. It's looking at the changes that are occurring. If we're walking down a street and all of a sudden, a bumblebee just come by and land on my shirt, land on my face, some people might change their whole train of thought. I'm not speaking. I'm not talking. I don't care about anything. Get this bug off my face. Other people might say, oh, wow, look, nice. Change is inevitable. So, the whole point of this chapter of self-discovery is to stay active and stay aware. That will allow you to be more conscious of who you are at any given moment of your greatness along your journey. As you're on your journey and you're being great, you have to understand that the greatness that you're seeking, the greatness that you're trying to discover, it comes with the changes that you're aware of. So if you can now be aware of your own reaction to the bug land on your face, you might be okay 3 years later being around bugs because you know that they might just land on you. You might not like it, but that'll help you stay gangster in your mind. Oh man, we're walking outside. Well, bugs are outside. You get a new chance to mature upon your own thoughts, which keeps those thoughts gangster, and that keeps you gangster. And what that means is that allows you to be the G of your life. Big G. So, change is inevitable. Change will happen, but how do you be the master of that change, in other words? How do you know which version of you will be okay with that change and which ones will not? And how do you be okay with having those differences? And then what do you do to be great within those changes? How do you stay mindful? Well, you believe in your awareness that you've acquired over this time. And that's it. Because you know things are always going to change. So guess what? Been here, seen this before. Ooh, uncomfortable, but hey, that's life and that's change. So, as we're diving deeper into these aspects, we got to understand that you are a version of yourself that will always be changing. And this version of yourself that's always changing can come in many forms. So you must continue to tool yourself with the ability to recognize your own change. So as always, check out our podcast, Soul Spark Radio. Go through all the seasons, it's 3 of them. Allow yourself to see the differences of me so you can understand the differences of you. Then if you want to read some more, we got other books, our testimonials, Soul Spark, our Soul Motivation Kit. Then we also have blogs. We got coaching. We have other people, networks. Please, do not be stagnant. Understand that change is the happiness that you desire, and the self that is enjoying that happiness is the version of the discovery that you seek. So, I appreciate you guys being here. As always, be great, and I'll see you next time. Peace.